Thursday, Friday, Saturday in Denver.
We got next weekend off. I'm stoked. What'd you guys do for 4th of July? Did you guys do anything fun?
Just hung out with family.
Yeah.
Did some fireworks with my son.
I was
I
up
figured
in
you
Deadwood.
probably would. How were you?
Yeah, I was up in Deadwood.
I saw Clem caught you in traffic on the snap.
I saw that as
We were
well.
coming back from a spot, and we ran right into the lead parade, bro, and we had to stop. And oh my god, I was so mad because there was only one spot to his house, and that was the route we had to take. So we had to sit in the car for like 25 minutes, bro. I was just sitting there so mad.
You just had that dejected look, like, man.
I'd been sitting there for so long already. Before that, I was like, dude, I'm ready to. Can we end this parade? That ain't shit in lead. We don't need to be having this parade being this long. No disrespect.
Was it popping off in Deadwood though?
Yeah, it was popping in the lead more than it was in Deadwood. It seemed like.
More patriotic
It was
up
cool
there.
though.
Guess so. Lead takes it more serious than Deadwood does.
With the parade,
Yeah,
apparently.
makes sense.
Man.
To be honest, I've never even been to Lead. Every time we've gone up there, we've just stayed in Deadwood. I've never even been over to Lead.
Yeah, I ain't missing anything in Lead other than Bob's Burgers. That's Clem's spot.
Clem's usual.
Yeah.
We go there every time. You just trying to go to Bob's, have a drink, get a burger? Yeah, might as well, bro.
Oh, they serve drinks
Girls
there
open till
too?
midnight.
It's a bar.
Oh, nice.
But they be making that food.
Episode 20, baby. Episode 20. The Kitchen Hook.
20.
We have a very special guest today. Another man with some BH roots, South Dakota roots in general. Spent a couple years with me at least at Black Hills. I don't know how long you two were around each other, but we had James Knutson on the line today, also known as Jamo.
Pleasure to be here.
Jamo, is that how you say your last name?
Knutson?
Knutson? Yeah,
that's
right. Okay.
Yeah.
I mispronounced Riker's last name. And I don't think he was super happy with me about that. So I want to make sure.
Not a good start.
Yeah, I want to make sure my pronunciations are right.
Spot on.
Hey, it happens.
Jamo, what? Go ahead. My bad, Bush.
No, I said it happens, man. It happens.
Man, I when you say it one way for so long, you just assume that's right. And then I didn't even ask him, like, how do you pronounce your last name? I just blurted it out. Like a noob.
He got corrected ASAP.
Well, I remember I said it, and then I was like, shoot, I actually don't know if that's how you say his last name. And then he corrected me immediately.
Probably not the first one to mispronounce it then.
Definitely not.
Jamo, like we were saying, man, obviously we connected at Black Hills, but you've continued doing some coaching since then. You started kind of like Bush in that student manager role, but are you coaching high school now? Are you coaching AAU? What do you got going on in the basketball world these days?
Yeah, so like you said, graduated from BH in 2017. Been coaching either AAU or high school ever since then. So this year is my 5th year coaching high school. I just recently coached over 100 games in my career. Hit that mark this year, so it's flying by.
Love that.
I've been doing AAU in the summer, but this summer I took it off. So actually my title, I'm the activities director, head boys basketball coach, head girls basketball coach.
Oh, wow.
And the head boys middle school coach at the school I work at, Ulrich. So a a lot of teams, a lot of action.
You got to
so how
fast.
Yeah, how do you manage all, like, what on a game day, or maybe a game weekend? What does your weekend look like coaching boys and girls?
So luckily, since we're a small school, a lot of our games are back to back, same place, same team. The tough part is when we have two games on the same day at different places, and that's kind of where my assistants came in. So, I mean, I've been lucky for a small school. I've had some really great assistants over the years. I mean, I've hired my brother. I've hired another good friend of mine who's one of my best coaches. This year, I actually hired my younger sister who played college basketball.
Oh, cool.
So that was nice to get her into that. But it's pretty busy, honestly. I mean, in years past, I've been a teacher. So, I got a lesson plan, do all that. Luckily, this year, I moved over to kind of the tech coordinator at our school. So I'm not in the classroom, but I am at the school every day. So that gave me some more flexibility. But I'd say the big thing is probably getting all the kids organized.
Yeah.
Eligibility. I mean, we didn't have a lot of kids go out to start this year to begin with. So if we lose some to injury, to discipline, to eligibility, we feel that loss on some given nights. But no, I'd attribute it mostly to my support staff, my bus drivers, everyone like that helped me get through it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My bad. What were you gonna say, Bush?
Nothing. That's busy. That's busy. That's such a busy, like, I don't even know if I could handle that, dude. Just coming from,
would you say?
Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Would you say it was more busy, like? Well, I guess the first question is, and it's kind of for both of you, how busy did Coach Trumbauer keep you guys with doing stuff, as a student assistant?
I'd say extremely busy.
Yeah.
How about you, Bush?
Dude, yes. Felt like we were part of the staff at some points. Like, we were full paid, like, staff. Just what we had to do. It just
So what were some of those things? I don't think I've ever heard.
So
this
for like
before.
practice, we'd have to have the ball. Obviously, we'd have to have the balls out, film ready. At the beginning of it, we had to hang up those damn pre-practice sheets. I remember those, bro. Pre-practice sheets.
Do you remember they'd have us in the pre-practice meetings, kind of talking about what we're gonna do, where we'd fill in, holding a pad for rebounding.
Hey, make sure
all of that.
Make sure if you're
stuff.
not doing anything, you have a ball on your side, so when we lose a ball, you can just throw it in.
Yeah,
that's rule
always
number one.
Yeah.
Rule number one: ball in your hand. No,
that's for all assistants, though. I remember
for, like, practice
when I first got to college coaching. I remember a couple of times early I got caught without a ball in my hand, and you know how it goes. Sometimes you're doing a drill and the ball goes rolling, and coach is sitting there, ball, and you're like, and you gotta sprint and go get that thing.
My man.
Yeah.
Game days we had to do quite a bit too. We were in charge of
at home and on the road.
Yes, at home, me and Jamo were in charge of getting film to the other team. That was one thing. Making sure the damn film even worked with that outdated ass system that they used back in the day.
Making sure there was someone up there.
Someone filming.
That was one of our biggest.
Making sure that the person up there was following the game with the camera, bro. I had someone on the game do it one time, and I'm like, I look up there. I happen to look up there 2 minutes into the game. He's just sitting down on his phone. I'm like, what are you doing? I had to walk up to the top, and I was like, bro, you gotta move the camera. Like, camera doesn't move itself, man.
Man,
not that high tech yet.
But
that was pre NCAA tournament qualifier era. Too,
I remember
well.
I remember we only had, like, the film didn't work. It didn't record, like, for a half. Do you remember that? And we had to pay, like, a fine. Me and
that's
Jim
a big no-no.
We got blamed for it too. The crazy thing about that is like he'd always be like, make sure you go test the film, and it's like, bro, you don't understand. Like, that's a wasted CD. It takes I don't care how you could record for 10 seconds. It's going to take me 30 minutes for me to even realize, to like know if it's going to work or not. And that was the stupid part
Remember,
about it.
we had to take it from up top, down the bleachers, up the stairs to the offices, to that one machine that makes copies. And then that machine would take forever just to make a copy. So if we had, a 15-minute warm-up period, that was when we were supposed to test it, it'd be about tip-off by the time we get back out into the court.
Yeah. And then, so we do that. Then after the game, we do laundry, make sure the locker room's clean, all that stuff, practice laundry. I think we had the game day figured out, though, with, like, getting the jerseys out during when you guys were going over or not scout, walk through. You guys would be going through certain scout and walk through, and we wouldn't be needed, so we'd be like, all right, let's go get the jerseys hung up.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what we had to do on the road, man.
Oh, ordering food. That's all I remember about the road.
Oh,
we
that's the worst.
Had a 10-15 minute window for each meal where he'd want it to get on the bus again and go.
That was the worst.
As short as possible.
Hey, I want to eat at 5:30. I want the food ready at 5:30 on the table, and
I want it on the tables at 5:30.
If it came out at 5:35.
Oh, and I know he was particular about that too. Yeah, I know he was real particular.
Attention to detail.
I ain't gonna lie though, everything that we just labeled off, dog, that's what you do if you're like the third assistant at a D2 and there's no student managers. Because that's everything I was doing at Western, really.
Yeah.
Well, I was just about to ask Jamo, I was just about to ask Jamo and you, Bush, but Jamo, you go first. Like, now that you're kind of more coaching at the high school level, doing that type of stuff, what type of things, or maybe what are a few big things that you pulled from your time as a student assistant at Black Hills that you still use? And then what are some things where it's like, oh, I came up with this kind of just through my own coaching philosophy, or just kind of how I see things running more smoothly at the high school level?
Yeah. So I'd say the big thing is just how organized it was. In terms of practice plans, I remember Coach Strum would always have a bunch of copies typed out down to the minute, what we're doing, who's with who, what coaches where. And I use that from day one in my practices, that exact same format. I have a practice plan printed out on the table every day. I let the players, kind of get a quick view of what we're going to work on so they know what's coming up, and just a lot of that little stuff. Being organized, kind of explaining, one big thing I really enjoyed getting from him was setting the kind of goals in a pregame. I don't know if you remember that tape, but we'd have that little corner in a whiteboard, this many offensive rebounds, this many fouls, this many free throw attempts. When they want us to get to the rim, they'd say more free throw attempts, so we drive more. Stuff like that kind of helps my players stay focused in games. And, that first year I really ran a lot of the offense that you guys did that last year there. That dribble jive, I absolutely love that kind of offense. And I pretty much took it copy and paste from that last year I was at BH. Since then, we've kind of evolved it some and kind of mixed it up. But I'd say that was a big part of that first year, kind of laying that foundation. Was very, very similar to how BH was run when I was there.
Yeah, man, we've talked about the practice plan thing in past episodes of just as a coach, the message you want to portray to your players is that you're ready to go, especially when you're expecting them to be ready to go when it's time to practice or time to play. I think having that practice plan and showing them that you've thought through what they're working on today, it shows that you're ready. And to Bush's point that he's made multiple times is it gives them an idea of what to expect that day in practice. And I think that's super important. With high school kids is hopefully they'll start to learn to read that practice plan and get mentally prepared for what you got planned that day. But that's funny you bring that up, because we've talked about that before.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I just realized when you said that, you know, when it's time to lock in, remember how we used to do kind of the clap to start? You know, once that clap started, it was time to lock in. I've taken that. I
Yeah,
mean, as cliche as it sounds, I use that with my teams to this day,
yeah.
and it works. As soon as they hear that, you know, they're out, they're ready to go. They stop bouncing the ball, they listen, they're ready to lock in. So,
Well, what it was a little rhythm clap, wasn't it? I don't remember what it was.
yeah. Remember, it was just like it started slow, and then it just got faster, 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 and
Yeah,
someone said 1, 2, 3, done.
yeah.
That was
I
it.
remember I botched it the first time I did it. I remember I like because you know there's a certain rhythm you want to hit as people are
Yeah.
speeding up that clap. You 1, 2, 3 jackets or whatever, you know. But I remember
Yep.
I had a hard time catching that rhythm, and it was everyone looked at me like,
You gonna say
"Dang,
something?
man."
Bro, we're clapping.
Kept clapping.
We're clapping still. You gonna say something?
Bush, same question for you. What things did you take from being a student assistant? And I'm talking like, because what we were talking before too of the things that you got administrative wise, like burning the CDs or, you know, burning the film onto whatever it was that you were giving to the other team, or organizing all the meals and stuff for the kids on trips. What type of stuff do you see translating into what kind of your coaching career got into?
Well, the meals thing for one sticks out to me because I was in charge of that in at Western. That was like my baby. I made sure that I had that planned out to a T. Like, don't mess with me and planning the meals. Like, that's my thing. Like, let me organize all this. I'll get it taken care of. Just make sure you give me the credit card, and I'm paying the bill with the school credit card. Just give me the card, man. But that just knowing like not having to like I guess on, you know, when you call like Chick-fil-A, like, hey, I need you guys, I'm gonna send an order in, can I get your email? Like, I got this whole system that'll, I think, you know, will make it easier for you guys, because some people will be like, well, you can just give it to us over the phone. I'm like, no, I mean, what's the email? I got a Word document with everyone's stuff, like what they want. Like, it'll be way faster than me sitting here on the phone with you. But not only just like doing it day of, but like planning it early in the week, because you know how it is. You got trips coming up. You're like, dang, I need to plan this out, or like we have to plan the trip out, plan the itinerary out. Because that was what my job was too, was make the itinerary. So I had to do all that stuff. And then the practice plan thing. I'm so big on practice plans because it keeps me on track, and two, like Tay said, I always put up a practice plan in the gym when I'm holding practice. That way kids can see it, like, hey, this is what we're about to do. This is what we're gonna do today. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I took from it. I mean, there's things that I took from our experience that I would do 100% differently. And then there's things that I took from it that I still use, you know? So I think I really learned a lot of the both of what not to do's and what to do's, which, not trying to like talk down on anyone, but you would see that almost everywhere you go, because you'll have a different mindset of like, oh, I think I could do this better, or this could be done in a better way, more efficient way, type thing.
Yeah, I would say I'm really, when I think of BH, about my time at BH, I think a lot of it is more of the like nuts and bolts, X and O kind of stuff. In terms of like the relationship building and all that, I've always kind of had that. But once I started working with you guys at BH, I understood offenses. I understood way more in depth, kind of how to counter this action, how to counter that. So it was a lot more polishing on that part, is what I took away from it. And, you know, it has helped me tremendously. I mean, I would say it's really helped me last as long as I have at this at this high school here. And, you know, who knows what the future will bring, but it is something I appreciate.
And we,
Hey
yeah,
man,
I was just gonna say, and we just saw like the hard work we had to put in. Like I remember the very first trip we got ready to go do, me and Jamo spent in the office with Rayfield getting the scouts ready for Northern Colorado, and we left at like, because we left day of that game, which sucked, but we left at like 6 a.m. Bro, we were in the on the bus. We were still in the office at like 2:33 a.m. Like I was. That's when I like realized I was like, damn, this is what this is. Like, wow, you're gonna be tired all the time. Like, sleep is so valuable to me when I was on road trips. Any time that I could even think about shutting my eyes for a little bit, I would, especially on game day. Because Hilgs, you know how it is. Like playing, it's so much. Like I'm sure for you, I never experienced the playing side of things, but like for playing, like you have that downtime. Like you wake up, you have film, and you have shoot around to worry about, and that's it, right? That's it. Then the rest of the day is essentially yours on the road or at home, really. So you can do whatever you want. On the road, it's harder because you're constantly having to do something. And that was the thing with us, like Shafe, we were always trying to watch extra film or talking about the game, and it was just like, man, like, can I get 30 minutes to maybe 45? Like, I want to be like fresh for this game. I'm not trying to be tired. We'd always be taking pre-workout before games, dude, to like get all energized. I'm like, what are we doing juicing up like this? And that was the thing I remember. I was just like, you're going to be tired all the time. Not so much during home games because you do have that chance to go home and chill for a little bit and put your feet up. But on the road, good luck. You're not getting no sleep.
That's something that you guys experienced and came to really understand what the behind the scenes of a game day, especially on the road, looks like on the coaching side of things. Because, you know, looking back, I didn't know all that work that went into what you guys were doing, or what having the meals there on time, what, you know, and now that we've all been on that coaching side, I have such a different appreciation for what you guys were doing, because to be real with you, I thought y'all were just tagging along and giving us our jerseys on game day. Like I thought that's what was going on. But like, for one, I'll say it's cool that Trum put that trust in you guys to get those things done and those responsibilities accomplished. But two, like, I commend you guys for handling it, especially still being college. You guys were just like us, you know. College students still trying to figure things out, having a million other things with school on your mind. So I just like hearing your guys' perspective, because you saw that coaching side of things of what goes into it way before I did.
I want to say one more thing too, is I think, and I'm just going to say it, maybe it's not the right thing. I learned how to like coach like college age kids, like nowadays. You know, you guys might know what I mean, but like connecting with the players, like there's no need to come into the gym just pissed off for no reason, like, and just setting the tone like that, or like just for how, like, sometimes he would get super pissed, you know what I mean? Like he would get mad.
On 10 immediately.
I watched the man kick a ball and fall on his ass because he was so pissed. Like he missed kicking it. He was so mad. So it was like, in my sense, I learned like damn, that's maybe not the best way to connect to players, because not only was I lucky enough to see the coaching side of things, but like for me and Jamo being so close to you guys outside of the team, like being friends too, we got to see how you guys viewed it, you know, how players viewed it.
Yeah.
So not only like, yeah, you guys may have said said things like, damn man, coach was tweaking today. That was stupid. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Like why was he doing that? But in our mind, I'm also thinking like, okay, maybe those are things you can't do. Like if you want to really keep the locker room and have them be able to be like trusting of you and going and talking to you and being able to sit down with you, those aren't the things that you should do. You know what I mean? So like that really changed my views of really calming me down in practice, being still being uh like accountable towards them, but like in a different way, in a calming, one more calmer way. Really raising my voice when it needs to be raised, but that's it. But other than that, just being like a positive influencer in the gym, because like that's just how kids are nowadays. You know what I mean? They didn't grow up the way we all grew up with coaching and how it was still like in that old school era. But I think that's something that I take away too, that I learned a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's just the job of the assistants for the most part. You know, like your job is to be that voice of reason and kind of that calming presence, you know, because the head coach is more liable to get, you know, to go from 0 to 100 and, you know, blow up and whatever else. So kind of you learn after a little bit that your frustrations kind of have to take a back seat because that's not your lane all the time. Mm-hmm. Not that you can't, as an assistant, you can't get on dudes and you can't be, like you said, holding those guys accountable, but you have to really pick your battles in those moments. You know what I mean? Like it can't be, like I'll say this, no disrespect, Rayfield, if you listen to this, but sometimes that man would come at you so quick, and it's like, I remember sometimes I would be like, bro, just say it to me. Like, you don't have to put the tone and you don't have to put the, you're an idiot after it. Like, just say what you need from me. I'll do it.
You idiot. Damn, he would get personal. Like, I remember.
Yeah, he would get real personal with you sometimes, and I remember just being like, "Man, I didn't need that in my day. You really hurt my feelings."
Hey, I ain't gonna lie. Whoever, someone tortured Rayfield in the conditioning world, dog. Like whoever that man.
Why do you say
grew
that?
Up with like conditioning wise, like they tortured his ass because some of the drills he made y'all do was like, damn, bro, this is like. These dudes are in the army, like the cone closeouts where you have to do the circles around the cones, all that stuff, cone agility drills. I remember he made y'all run, do the down at the half court and back 3-pointers where you had to run to half court, run to the spot, shoot the 3, run to half court. Like, dude, the amount of conditioning stuff that he would do.
Rip Hamilton drill. Yeah, Jamo.
This guy is crazy. This guy is crazy.
I think I led one of those workouts one time with Tate, if I recall.
Oh, man. I remember one. I don't remember if you were there, Jamo, or you, Bush. I'm not sure who was at that. I kind of tried to dissociate from it. But I remember he had us doing, it was like attacking ball screens with when the guard's really pressuring up on you.
Uh-huh.
And I remember, I think Bisgard had to leave early and like somebody else was out with an injury, and it was in the preseason, so it was small group. So it was like me and 2 other guys. And by the end of it, it was just me in the workout for like the last 15 minutes. And I remember I was getting every rep, and this dude was not letting me like just catch my breath for a little, like a split. It was like, you finish a rep, you're to the next one. You finish a rep, you're to the next one. I remember after that, I was sitting there and I'm just like, that might have been the hardest workout I've ever done. But I think it might have been you, Jamo.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I'm sure I was there too, because I do remember one Hilgs where you were just dog ass tired. Like you had no more soul left in your face.
And we were playing afterwards too.
Y'all remember Colin May?
I do.
Yeah, I do.
That dude, remember how pissed that dude was the only man I'd see get so pissed and punch the floor, like, boom, just punch down on the floor. Like,
man,
he just disappeared out of nowhere. We had a couple dudes that first 2 years Trum was there that just kind of showed up, and then next thing you know, they were gone.
It was like, and then, but like the crazy part is like we wouldn't really address it. We would kind of just be like, yeah, so this person's not going to be around. All right, let's go.
Moving on.
Like we just not gonna address the elephant in the room right
And
now.
it was almost like every time someone would get cut, it was like, okay, now I haven't even seen this guy in the same classes that he would be coming in and out of that I'd see him. I have not seen this man just drop off the face of the earth. Like it was almost him saying, all right, scholarship done. I'm kicking you out of class too. You don't deserve to be in this school.
Yeah, man. The other thing I wanted to ask you, Jamo, was, and you too, Bush. Like this is kind of something for all of us. But, well, first of all, Jamo, were you there for a year after I left? So you said 2017.
Yeah, so I graduated from BH in 2017.
Did you help out that last year with the team?
Yeah. Yep. 3 years I was there.
And so you was Coach Trum the head coach that last year too? That your guys' last year?
Yep.
What out of all the coaches?
I think Bush.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I think Bush went a year longer than I did, right?
Yeah.
Because your last year, isn't that when Thompson took over?
No. Thompson's first year was my first year outside of basketball. I was just was I just a student? Yes, I was. I was just.
I swore you were there a year.
I did 4 years out of my 5. I did 4 out of my 5 years. So
I only did 3.
No, the year he took over was the year I was working at Qdoba. That's what it was. Because I was gonna ask to be the graduate assistant, but Trump called me in the office and he was like, this is this is one of those moments where it's probably best if you just find a new place to go and all that stuff. Just basically like open the cage, said fly birdie fly, and I was like, no, I don't want to fly. I want to stay here.
I don't want to fly.
I'll fly away. But
no, what I wanted to ask you was, out of all that staff, obviously Rayfield being there as an assistant, and then Trum those years as the head coach, who was a coach that kind of took you guys under their wing a little bit, and kind of maybe mentored you? Maybe you see him as a mentor figure, but who kind of took you under their wing and really put you on some game about what it means to be a college coach?
I'd say that first year. Well, if you remember, Bush, we had the GOAT Luke as our GA. A few games that first year.
We forgot about him.
So I was gonna say, yeah, when it was those two guys, I mean, they were showing me how to watch film, what a scout is, invite me down to the office when they're working late to kind of show what they're doing. I do know Rayfield, that year he was there, he really helped me out a lot. And I do stay in touch with him still. I actually got him saved in my phone as Big Brother still. That's what I used to call him back then. But and then after he left, Thompson really helped me out as well. He was willing to kind of ask me questions. What do I want to do? Kind of walk through a few things. If I ever had anything, I would just ask him, and he'd kind of tell me his opinion anyways. Because if I recall, he was still pretty new to college coaching that year. But he was willing to, reach out, stay in touch, explain his point of view. He even invited me to a couple of, I don't know if it was recruiting or just scouting trips for AAU season. I wasn't able to go, but just the fact that he was willing to invite me was, big for me. So I'd say those two guys for sure.
That's awesome. What about you, Bush?
I'd say mainly for me, just Thompson. I didn't really take my first 2 years serious. Like, I don't know, bro. I liked Rayfield, but like there was things that threw me off about him that just made me not I couldn't sit down and talk to him the way Jamo could, essentially. Like him and Jamo clicked better than me and him did. Me and him butted heads more. You know what I mean? Like he'd piss me off and I'd piss him off.
Yeah, you guys did. I remember that.
Same with, bro, I'll be honest with you, and I know he listens sometimes too, but same with Brady Cameron, dog. Like, I like Brady, but
shout out Brady.
Shout out Brady. There's just
Oh
some
yeah, I
things.
forgot about Coach Cameron.
B Cam, there were some things you did, man, that really just irked me to another level, and
Hey,
I
I'll
couldn't even
say this
speak to
though.
you.
When you're on a coaching staff and you spend so much time around each other,
Yeah.
that stuff happens. Like there's those times
Yep.
where it's like I want to just throat chop this guy so hard right now.
For
Yep.
real.
And, I think the good staffs, they find a way to, for
Get
one,
past
just
all that.
address it and get past it. Yeah, get past it, but also look back on it and be like, man, remember when I wanted to beat your ass on that trip or whatever? You know what I mean? Like, they can look back at it and just know that that's part of the process.
Let
Yep.
me backtrack real quick too. Really, I gotta thank Trumbauer for like all of this at the end of the day, because he never gave me this that title. It was all Schaefer, and then because I remember I was going to school while Schaefer was still a coach there, and I was trying to walk on and whatever, or be a part of the team, and um, we met and he offered this position to me. I said, yeah, why not? Like, let's do it. That's more something I want to do later in life, and
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff. And then he stepped down and went to Western, and so I had to call Trumbauer, man. I had to I had to talk to the AD. I had to talk to Jet, like, hey Jet, like, is this still a thing? Like, am I still this? And then, when Trum came on and stuff like that, like I had to talk to him and make sure he was okay with it and stuff. So I appreciate him for doing that. But like Jamo said with Thompson, like Thompson was the first one to really just like invite me into the office, really sit down and see what I was wanting to do with coaching, teach me what you needed to do. Because when me and Thompson really started getting close was his second year, and so he done all that, and so I'd help him with scouts, I'd help him with recruiting. And he just like with the recruiting thing, it just felt like he just gained like a trust with me that even afterwards, like I remember he brought in Sava on a recruiting trip, and we played open gym, and the first person he talked to after he pulled me aside, he said, Bush, what do you think? Like, how do you think he'll fit? Because I played, and I was like, I think he's going to be a perfect fit. I think he's going to be really good for the program, and he turned out to be a great player for BH, a key player in all their tournament runs too. And so just him a lot, like trusting me and really with my like the eye test and all that stuff, it really gave me confidence to know like, hey, I do know what a good player is. I do know what you need in a player for them to succeed in your program. So I even like we stay in touch all the time. Anytime I go into his office, we always have long conversations. He's always asking me questions. Like during the season, I went in after they lost to Fort Lewis at home. The next day they played Adams and won, and we were talking about the Fort Lewis game. He's like, what did you see? What do you think we could have done better? Is there anything I could have done better? We're sitting there breaking down a game, and I'm not even a coach anymore. And I was like, I can have those conversations with him because I trust him, and I know he trusts me and what I say. So like I give a lot of what I know about coaching straight to Coach Thompson.
Shout out Coach T.
Go
Yeah,
real.
I do want to. I don't know if he watches or not, but Coach Nori, really cool guy as well.
Oh man.
Yeah, he's offered me guidance. He's just called me on a random night, just see, hey, what's up? What
Cool.
you doing? And someone who's been there for 20 plus years, that perennial winner. Just for them to take the time out to do that, I thought was really cool.
Yeah, and like to go off what you said, like I still see Nori. Whenever I see Nori to this day, we still sit and talk. You know what I mean? Like how you said, he's that dude he's a cool guy because there's a couple times where he saved my ass with like food being late and stuff like that. Like I remember one time after Colorado Christian, we lost the bad game, and Trum was not having it, dude. He was not having the Jimmy John's guy not being there yet, and so he almost left. He almost told the bus driver, all right, get in, and Nori sat there. He's like, no, you are going to wait until this food gets here. You're going to let those guys
these
eat.
guys are going to eat.
They're going to eat, and I get it. We lost a bad game, so I'd be pissed too. at the end of the day, we've all been on the road. Like, you, after a game, you're like, all right, let's go. I want to get on the road. You know what I mean? Like, all the
you
kids,
gotta get
especially
going.
those long trips.
Kids be talking to their families like, okay, you can see them later. Come on, bus now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that one Durango trip we got back at Sunday at like 9 a.m? We drove all night Saturday
Had
night.
plenty of those where you just like you
Bro,
leave.
there were too many of those.
Be pulling into King Street with the sun open, sun up. Like, but is this even legal? This should be illegal right now.
Yeah.
What about you,
You
Hills?
just know what?
You answer that question? What kind of coach? What coach out there kind of really helped you
Through all the places I've been,
through all the
or
places
just
you've
at
been?
Black Hills?
No, through all the places you've been. What coach really?
Well, I gotta say, the one that kicked it off and that really kind of sparked my interest and just desire to coach at the college level was Coach Smiley, and just how he ran stuff at Sheridan. It was a very quick and rude awakening, into what college basketball was, but it was one that was needed, and it was kind of forced that naivety out of me of what I was getting myself into, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so just the way he ran his program, the way he was with his players, and how he had clear expectations and held you to those expectations, and I really respected that. So he's the guy that kind of kicked it off. Once I got to Black Hills, I didn't necessarily have a coach there that like really tried to take me under their wing, I guess. And part of that's on me. I didn't do a good enough job of being in the offices and stuff like that. But I would say Coach Thompson, he was one of those guys that I knew down the line would be a coach that I knew I could always hit up, and I could always ask, his opinion, stuff like that. And then the last one, amongst others, are the two guys at Concordia, Ben Lindback and Lance Carell. Shout out those two guys. They just kind of showed me what we've talked about before, of that relationship with players and how important having lasting relationships with their guys are. And not that they're best friends with every single one of their players. You guys know just as good as anyone is you're going to connect way, way better with certain players than you are with others.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the way it goes. It's just like in anything else. But they showed me what it truly means to put that effort in for each and every guy. I think some coaches will initially give it a shot to have a good relationship with all their players, but they won't try and break down the walls with certain guys because it's a little too hard, or they're struggling a little bit too much to kind of get beneath the surface. But those two guys were so diligent and so persistent on everybody in their program that I was like, man, it is possible to invest in all of your guys. It is possible to really look out for what's best for everybody that's on your roster.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that whether you're at the high school level, junior high level, college level, that translates wherever you are. So, man, I can't thank them enough for that type of stuff, man.
It's so important to be able to like do that with kids, especially in college. Like when everyone's away from their families and stuff, the new kids, it's harder. It's a hard adjustment, And I always tried to be the coach that was, hey, my office door's open. I know it's a shared office with all the other bunch of other like stipend coaches that aren't full time. But you're here, you can come talk. My door's always open because at the end of the day, I wanted to be able to leave Western with all the kids that I had coached or that had played for us, knowing like, hey, at the end of the day, maybe we didn't have the best seasons, but at least I know Coach Bush had my back. Like he truly wanted what was best for me, and that was someone I could go to, and he was going to give me the right or like the truth every time. You know, I'm not going to sit there and tell you what you want to hear, but I'm going to tell you how it is at the same time because I want you to be better. And after my first year, I got a text from one of my players like that, a senior, and it was my only year with him. And it was James Willis, and he's like, Coach Bush, I think I still have the text. Honestly, it was one of those I saved, and he was just super appreciative of what he's like. He's like, I want to tell you how everyone respects you as a coach. Coming from the GA position, you're kind of limited in your authority, but I and everyone else on the team really think you're a great guy, and we feel like you're a big reason why we got better this year. So thank you again. And that was like, I was like, damn. So apparently what I was doing was right in my first year, and that was my goal from year and year, the years on, is be one, like, okay, yes, I know we're doing the hardest conditioning drill that you guys that we do, but there's a reason we have to do it, and it's going to be over at some point. Like, just push through and get over it, get it through, and then just to be understanding, like you said, Hilgs, like you have to be almost their best friend, but not their best friend. You know what I mean? As an assistant, and so that was something I always tried to be.
Yes, sir.
Well, I was to say I like what you guys said about relationships, just because, I mean, look back at BH. Look at how many of us keep in touch regularly. I know. I mean, coaches, players, managers. I mean, I try to touch base with everyone that was at BH while I was there at least once a year, if not more. And to me, that was what was most important to me. You know, like you said, Bush, you had to talk to Trum to let you be a student assistant. I emailed Trum, you know, a month after he got hired, just on a random shot, and he said, come in, let's talk. And he gave me some responsibility, and, you know, the rest is history. So I do think relationships is a huge part of it. And even like with all my high school players, my AAU players, I love getting their graduation cards. I love staying in touch with them. I love seeing what they're doing, meeting their kids, you know, when they get older. To me, that's what's most important, because at the end of the day, records, they're cool to kind of say I have this many wins and losses, but it's even cooler when you see someone on the street and say, hey, coach, how you been? And give them a hug. So, yeah, I agree with you guys.
Yeah, man. Both you dudes are, you know, like amongst all those other guys too. It's like you look back on, you know, any team you're on, and I feel like the only test is time, and the fact that we all do, whenever we're around each other, we try and link up and all that type of stuff. That's how you know it was a solid squad.
The cool thing to learn about that was when we had Joel on the thing on this couple a month ago. He told us, he's like, hey man, like you guys gotta understand, like those the King Street stuff, like your guys' group is still talked about. Like the way you guys started the culture around here with everyone is still talked about. So like to sit back and think about that, I told Clem that, I'm like, bro, that was said. He's like, damn, really? I'm like, yeah. I was like, we started something at BH that is like still building. Like we laid the ground of like, hey, everyone's included. Yeah, okay, you're a student manager. Come hang out with the boys. You know what I mean? If you're on the team, you're on the team. You're part of the family. And if you're a freshman, you're not from this country, come hang out. Let's, you know, you're part of us now, you know? So that was the cool thing, and I'm glad that we always did that, because there are colleges out there that have cliques, and we had that at Western wasn't as much of that because they were a pretty group oriented, but like there's places that are cliquey. Like you have your foreigner group over here, then you have this group over there, the freshman group here, you know? So I'm glad that we didn't do that.
Yeah.
It's just about, like you said, making sure guys feel like they play a part and that they're valued, you know? And that's kind of why I was saying that it was cool. It's cool to hear all the stuff you guys did behind the scenes, because you guys were putting in work just like we were, just in a different way. and that's it. It all built up to the relationship we all had with each other. And like, to me, if I could go back to a time other than being a kid out in the yard, like I would go back to those Black Hills times with you guys and just killing it in spearfish all the time. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. 630 West
Yes,
King.
I agree with that.
Jamo, I wanted to ask you one more thing. I know we're getting up here close to an hour, but something that's unique to you and just kind of your story, and something we're somewhat familiar with, Bush being from Wyoming, but just your background and where you come from and how that has shaped your basketball life and kind of your basketball journey, being from the Pine Ridge and being from the reservation, and how that's all shaped what you've done and what you continue to do. I'm sure it's a motivation to kids like you out there. Talk a little bit about that. Maybe we should have started with it, but I want to get kind of your perspective on where you're coming from and kind of where you want to go and what that message can be to some other kids that are similar to you.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. So I'm glad you asked that because, in my opinion, I've always viewed myself as a rather unique kind of either coach or, student assistant, whatever you want to call it. But like I said, with Trump, I just on a shot just emailed and said, hey, I want to get into coaching someday. I knew I wasn't going to ever be a college player, but I want to stay involved in a game because I didn't start playing basketball till I was in 8th grade. So I only played 5 years of organized basketball by the time I graduated high school, and I was just starting to learn the game and I was really enjoying it. So looking for ways to stay involved and officiating. I don't want to officiate.
No.
Kudos to people like Bush and Clem who are constantly officiating every weekend, but that just wasn't for me. But so then I thought coaching, and that first year right after I graduated high school, I spent 2 years working at my local middle school where I grew up on the reservation in Red Shirt. And, I was the middle school boys and girls basketball coach at 18, 19 years old. I was middle school activities director at 19 years old. And, it was just stuff I wanted to learn. I knew I was pretty good at, and I knew I was getting a late start, getting involved in basketball. But I just always thought, why not? Give it a chance, see what happens. And ever since I got to BH, it's just unlocked so many different things for me. And coming from the res, there's so much talent that goes unrecognized, unrecruited. Just every single year, there's players that could be playing at D2, sometimes even at D1, that are just overlooked for whatever reason. And so coming into BH, my big thing was, well, I'm going to tell everyone that I can that I'm from Pine Ridge Reservation, that I am Native, just so they know that, Natives are still around, because there's a surprising amount of people, even in the state still, who are surprised that Native Americans are still around. So just coming from that background, it's basically helped motivate me to just take a chance, see what happens. I've shot emails to random coaches asking to work summer camps, and they reply to me, or just asking for advice. I remember one time I heard a story about Mike Bray, the Notre Dame coach, writing a letter to Coach K when he was young. Got a reply back, and he said that motivated him. So I don't know if you guys know who Tim Miles is.
Oh, yeah.
He's a big college basketball coach. He's from South Dakota. So I thought, hey, he's from South Dakota, small school, small town, big college coach. I want to be that too. So I took the time, wrote him a letter, and sure enough, he replied back to me. And, I still got that letter in a frame at my house. He just kind of gave me some advice on what to do. But that's kind of been the story of what I've done with coaching.
Yeah.
Coming out of college, I obviously wanted to be a GA, but didn't work out. So I thought, next best thing, I'll be a high school coach. 23 years old, graduated college. Lucky enough, I found a school that was willing to give me a chance as a head coach that very first year. And, it turned out for the better. And since then, it's just been getting better, learning more, getting to know more people, and just taking chances, applying random places, interviewing with random people. And yeah, so I would say a big thing about my background is just, if you know where I grew up, it's in a country. It's red shirt table. The nearest store is about 40 minutes any direction. So, I've been used to kind of being the unique, kind of different person, and it's kind of helped me. I think people pay more attention to me, or are more memorable in coaches' minds, and so it's good and bad.
Yeah, man. I think what you bring just to that, the fact that you've been where you've been, and the fact you can bring that back to, is Ulrich's your home? Ulrich's isn't your hometown, is it?
No, it's just where I've been coaching most of my
But just the fact that you can bring that back to where you came from, and give that, some of that knowledge back to those kids that are, growing up in that same area or same reservation that you did. I think it's going to do nothing but good things for those kids. And I think you're going to look back, or you're going to hear one of these days of one of these kids you've been coaching, like, hey, I'm going to coach at, Casper College, or I'm going to coach here. And it's cool to see a dude from your background, and obviously knowing, guys like us that are familiar with Pine Ridge and what that comes with in South Dakota, is the odds are stacked against you, and I know you know that firsthand. And the fact that you've been able to have that journey that you've had, it's exciting to see you doing what you're doing, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yo, do you remember the South Dakota School of Mines game when Jamo got up and was like on the court screaming?
What was it? The one? Was it the one in
the? It was his It was the very first year.
I think that was at BH
because we had it on film.
Yeah.
He was. Someone took a charge and he was out in the court, dog. Like.
Hey, I had to bring energy. I didn't know much about the X's and O's. I had to help somehow.
So
I'll say this: our bench energy was always on point. I feel like with our squad, we always were pretty hyped up.
Yeah, once we changed the bench back the way a normal bench should be, instead of big, like how we split it up, bigs and guards, like.
And we wouldn't sit in the right order ever.
No.
No.
I remember Clem was the head of the bench for that one game. He got to dress out, and it's like all the coaches are in the middle of the bench. I'm like, bro, this is weird.
It just felt weird. It's like, what am I doing sitting here at the front of the bench right now?
Yeah.
No, I echo, like, Jamo, what Tate said, like, the way you just able to work hard all the time, always showed up on time, you're always there. I always see your story. I like your story. I know to you it might be a joke, but the survive in advance, like, bro, that's so true about it. You just gotta survive in advance that day. If you can get through the day, like, there's no need of worrying about what's coming ahead of you. Like, I felt like that was something we did at Western a lot. Was, man, if we could win this game, we're gonna start off like 6-0 at home. We're not even into conference yet, and it's like, yo, why are we worrying about this early December game? We haven't even played the first game in November yet. Like, let's take it one day at a time. Let's survive today and move on. But I think, like Hill said, it's just fun to see your growth with, like to me, I just feel like for you teaching the native youth, like, that's something you've always wanted to give back to, and seeing them always gravitate towards you, and seeing them just being everyone, all the community, when you post some pictures, just seeing how grateful everyone is of you for doing the coaching 3 teams this past year. No one in their right mind would do that. Like, people who are sane don't do that. But the fact that you did it with what your schedule already is speaks of what you want to do in this business or industry, however you want to say it, And that's why I always, whenever I found stuff at Western, I'd always, hey, I got a guy, I'd have to call him real quick. He's got some other. There's got to be things that you got to work with him in order for it to do it. But I got a guy that I think would be interested, and you're always going to be the first person. Hey, Coach Bush, we're looking for someone. Yeah, I got someone. First person on the that's going to be on the phone is you, because I know how badly you want to be at the college level, and I want you to experience that. So just know that if there's ever a phone call from someone that sent from me, it's for that reason, because I want you to get to that next level.
I'll say this.
I was just gonna say, I mean, that goes back to our relationship, right? I mean, not only you two guys here, but Thompson, Rayfield, Wyatt. Wyatt Krogman's helped me, Brady Cameron. I got to know another coach, Coach Aaron Porber. He helps me out a lot. I mean, just the fact that you guys are taking the time to keep me in mind and float my name out there for jobs and just trying to help me get to that next level. I really do appreciate that from you guys.
That's what we're here for, man. That's what we do. Got to put our boys on. I will say this too. You're probably the most right person in an evaluation on a player. Do you remember who that player is? Or can you think of who I'm thinking of? Played in the RMAC.
Ask that again.
He played in the RMAC. I remember when I was coaching, I was at Concordia when you first hit me up about this kid, and then I was up at Minot State the second time you hit me up about it. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Ollie.
Yeah. That kid is nasty, son. I remember,
he's so good.
I remember you hit me up about him the first time, and I watched film, and I was like, okay, I can see a little bit of what Jamo was talking about. And then I got down here to Pueblo, and Ollie was a junior and a senior. Or no, he was a senior, and then he got his COVID year and was just giving the league fits. And every time I'd watch that kid play, I'm like, man, Jamo was right about this dude. He is nasty.
Yeah.
Ollie can get buckets, bro.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just, I kind of look back and I reflect, and, sometimes I do get disappointed that I'm not in college coaching yet. But, I mean, realistically, I just turned 29 2 months ago. And look at all the stuff I've accomplished so far at the high school level. And I know it'll come at some point, and I know it'll probably be like it always has been, me doing some kind of unique situation, some random school in the middle of nowhere, and just making a name for myself like I always do. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed for that.
Some of the best coaches in the world in this world didn't get their first call until they're in the 30s too. So, me and Hilgs got a unique journey too. We took that road out, trying to find the way back in. He found it. I found a little bit. There's always room. There's always room for coaches, no matter where you're at. And one thing that I learned from helping out with the younger kids now is as long as I'm coaching, I'm happy. As long as I'm able to teach kids how to put a ball in a hoop, then I'm happy. So that was the biggest thing I learned.
The thing too, the last thing I'll say on that is maybe something that you've experienced already, but I think your opportunity is going to come in a moment when you don't expect it, or in a moment that you might not even be looking for it. You know what I mean? That's, I think, to Bush's point, no one's journey through the college basketball coaching thing, or just through coaching in general, is the same. And so that's one thing I found myself doing, is comparing myself to guys that maybe I was in the same class with, or I started getting into coaching around the same time as them, and they're moving up faster than me, or they're doing this. And I learned that their circumstances and their situations were nowhere near the same as mine. And so that might have played a role, or they might have been a little bit more assertive, or just remember that everybody's journey is different through it. And that moment's going to come for you, maybe when you least expect it. And I know you'll be ready for it. But the more you compare yourself to these dudes and like, man, I should be where he is, or I should, that's just gonna put you in the wrong perspective. It's gonna happen, man. Yep. I know it is, especially because, like Bush said, you're so persistent with it, and you're so ready to jump on those opportunities.
Those random emails where you're shooting a shot and pay off at some point.
Yeah.
Last thing that I want to ask you is to just completely take a hard left turn on this conversation is Dallas Mavericks, since they signed Grant Williams today.
I can't believe we didn't touch on any NBA with Jamo here.
The Dallas Mavericks signed.
Well, you guys know how biased I am, so let's just say Mavericks, WNBA Finals. No, I think so. We got Tybalt, we got Williams. We traded it was like 2 second-round picks and Reggie Bullock, who was really bad this past year. We got Luka, the greatest of all time. Kyrie's back, Uncle Kyrie. So I think we're gonna be a lot better, man. I know Bush's Lakers probably are gonna fall behind us. I know.
I'm not a Lakers fan.
I don't remember what your team is, State.
I don't really have one these days, to be honest. I was a Bulls fan a long time ago.
He's a Bron
guy.
He's a goddamn Bron guy.
I am a Bron guy.
He's a Laker fan.
So you're
a Laker fan.
Guy.
No, I'm not a Laker fan. I'm a Bron fan. So if Bron's winning with the Lakers, then great. But I wouldn't necessarily say I root for the Lakers. I kind of pick a team once it gets to the playoffs. Like, I want these guys to win.
Yeah, as long as it's not the Warriors, that's all I care about.
The Warriors, man. Wardell.
So
anything Chris Paul is on, I go against.
So are the Mavs? Do you think the Mavs have positioned themselves for another Western Conference or NBA title run, or do you think they're still kind of a step away?
So right now, I think our biggest weakness is center position. I did like Derek Lively. I think eventually he'll be good. It's just hard to expect a lot from a late first-round pick right away. We got Powell back, Dwight Powell.
Whoa.
I feel the same way about him. He's okay as like a off the bench kind of big, but as a starting center,
no,
it's not worth it.
No.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping, we still got Tim Hardaway. We got Seth Curry back. That'll be a big help. We got the shooting. It's improved, and we got Luka and Kyrie to kind of just take turns in that 1-2 role. I think our weakness is going to be, defensively at center. Because who's going to stop Jokic?
Nobody can stop him.
Jokic is the defending champ, the MVP. We got to stop him if we're going to go anywhere, right?
Yeah, man,
exactly.
That's a good point.
I think that's going to be our struggle.
He made Anthony Davis look like a child, and Anthony Davis is supposedly the best defender in the league.
But I don't
know about that.
I think it's a shift back a little bit, not necessarily all the way back, but it's the NBA is kind of shifting back to where teams are wanting that dominant big, where it's still like we want to space the floor and shoot threes, but we also it seems like the teams that are in the hunt, they have that big that really controls the paint at all times. And Dwight Powell, I agree with you. I don't think he's that for them at all.
I agree.
No. And even JaVale McGee was supposed to be that in 10, 12-minute spurts. He can't even do that 2-3 minutes this past year.
Y'all should go after.
I think that's going to be our main weakness.
Y'all should try and sign Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard has the best stats on defense against Jokic and anyone to guard him. So,
Really,
I would sign Dwight Howard. Get him out of China.
Dwight Howard's been in Taiwan.
I guess we'll see. Man. I know
he ain't ready for Jokic.
Did you see they cut his contract?
Yeah, I did for 75% or whatever it was.
Bro
took a pay cut and he's pissed.
Bro had an 80-point game over there.
Looking like Orlando
80
Magic.
points,
Dwight
20
Howard
rebounds. Dude was looking like a god in that league.
No, I think we'll make the playoffs this year, the Mavericks, but I'm not going to get my hopes up. Second round would be nice, the minimum in my opinion, but after that it's just going to come down to matchups. Avoid the Nuggets as long as we can. see what we can do, I guess, is the best case scenario.
I think we'll see the Mavs back in the playoffs for sure.
Oh, yeah. They should have made the play-in this year. They just decided to – those last few games.
They were fourth.
I don't think they expected to win.
They were fourth in the West. They were fourth in the West and then just Yeah. Those last few games, they just gave up, basically. I mean, I'm sure they did it to try to keep their lottery pick, which I guess worked out, but got in trouble
I wasn't
for
a fan
it.
of that move. Playoffs are boring. Yeah.
Shoot.
Well.
Hey, man. Can't win them all. Can't win them all.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But, Hilgs, you got anything else?
That's a wrap, man. That's a good one.
Yeah, I ain't got nothing.
Jamo, we appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
As always, good
Appreciate
to talk to you. Good to see you. I hope all is well. Back in the old SD with you.
Yes, it is.
Good.
Yes, it is.
All right.
Well, Kitchen Hook episode 20. We made it to 20.
We made it. Next goal is 25. That's the milestone. 25.
What do you guys got for guest lineup?
We don't reveal those beforehand, but
I'll tell you.
Know we got some solid ones.
I'll tell you after we stop recording.
After
I press stop on this record thing, I'll tell you. But the people can't know.
Oh, yeah.
But other than that,
sound good.
You know where to find us.
All right, that's a wrap.
Yes, sir. Kitchen Hook. Peace.